Managers were convinced the astronauts would have a terrible, terrible time landing these vehicles. And so we have a 15,000-foot long concrete runway that is 300 feet wide. Add to that another 1,000 feet of just-in-case asphalt at either end. And a 50-foot asphalt apron on either side of the runway, and you end up with a paved area that is 400 feet by 17,000 feet. This is a big runway. Now, that was the theory. These guys are going to be all over the place with these vehicles. Well, what has happened in actual real life? First of all, let's set the stage. When they come back to Earth, they drop into the atmosphere over Western Australia, still doing just under orbital velocity, right at 17,000 miles an hour. There's a series of long sweeping turns through the air, and it is the friction of the air against the tile that acts as the brake, slowing it down, converting forward motion into heat energy, the same thing that happens when you hit the brake pedal in your car. Okay, so they're coming from halfway, a little better than halfway around the world. If you left Brisbane or Sydney on the east coast of Australia to fly into Orlando, it will take you 25 to 35 hours. Had a couple on the bus 2 days ago who had flown from Sydney to Orlando in 27 hours. My worst flight was 35, okay? I wish I could find out who the astronauts use as a travel agent, because they do that trip in an hour and 5 minutes. Now, you remember they lost the big external fuel tank on the way up, so they don't have any engines that are operating. This is coming in as a brick-covered glider. They land at twice the speed of a commercial jet. They're doing between 200 and 250 miles an hour at touchdown. And 4 to 5 minutes out, the computers relinquish control of the landing to the commander and the pilot. So this is a human being bringing this in for landing. They have no ability to pull up and try for a second approach. There's not enough momentum left. And so it's got to be right the first time. And just to top it off, their glide pattern is 4 times what would be considered an emergency landing with a 747. Wow. The worst landing we've had was 6 feet off the center line. 6 feet. And that poor fella has received just his fair share of teasing and more than his fair share from the other commanders over the years. They refer to him as the amateur. I wouldn't say he's hoping for bad things to happen, but it wouldn't hurt his feelings if somebody landed 6 feet 6 inches off before the end of the program. Well, we will have perhaps 7 more landings here. That's our hopes.